What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to the Daily Draft. I'm your host and the publisher of Packer Report, Ross Uglem. And the show, of course, is brought to you by Brewski. Light lager from Badger State Brewing, the greatest can in all of Wisconsin. And today, we are talking about Iowa tight end Luke Lachey. Pros. He is an excellent blocker, potentially one of the best in this class at the tight end position. He has that versatile size. I think he's like 6'5", 240, 6'6", yeah, 6'5", 240, listed at 6'6", 247. I think somebody actually got a real measurement on closer to 6'5", 240, but he's got that versatile size, right? I mean, he can play wide tight end, that inline tight end, plays plenty of F, can flex out if you need, if absolutely necessary. I think he does a particularly job when Iowa runs zone. When he runs wide zone, he does a great job as an extension of that offensive line. Oftentimes, obviously, as the guy leading the attack. I mean, the guy that can capture the edge if the back doesn't want to cut back. That's usually the tight end, and I think he does a really, really good job with that. He's a smooth, fluid athlete. I think some of his tests are going to go well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a good short shuttle time. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a good three-cone time. Got really good ball skills, catches the ball away from his frame. When he has to make a difficult catch, he can make it. I like his hands. Potential, I think, to have NFL success beyond his raw numbers from college, just like George Kittle did. George was obviously a projection taken much later than he would be taken in a redraft. I mean, Kittle is borderline on his way to the NFL Hall of Fame. Right now in the Iowa offense, if we're all being honest, there aren't a ton of passing yards, production, etc., to go around. I think he is a really smart football player. In addition to his ability to help the team in a number of ways, in addition to his ability to be a force in the run blocking game, but potentially also in pass protection. I think he's smart. I think he understands zone coverages. I think he knows how to get open, and I think he knows how to be accessible to his quarterback, both in zone coverage situations and in scramble zone situations. It seems mean kind of to put this under like his pros, but he played with really bad quarterbacks, guys. And I think you have to adjust any expectations based on his statistics at Iowa with the understanding that he just played with QBs that aren't that good. You know what is good? The Green Bay Draft Guide powered by Packer Report. Link in description or link in the podcast description. Promo code DAILY for $1 off. We're going to have 250 or more player profiles, my Packers specific big board, a 7-round Packers mock, but most importantly, those Packers thresholds, what they like to do. Who are your tier 1 fits? Who are your tier 2 fits? You guys, we really narrowed it down, and we really kind of held your hand and walked you right to a bunch of Green Bay's picks last year, a bunch of Green Bay's picks the year before that. That I think is the most valuable part of the guide is really accurately showing you like, okay, well, these 60 wide receivers, why don't you pay attention to these 8, because they're going to pick a couple from these 8, and year after year we've been pretty darn good. Okay, cons for Luke Lachey. I'm assuming it's Lachey as was I'm sure some relative of his, former 98 Degrees lead singer Nick Lachey. Cons: injury history. Was coming off of, I think, an ACL. Let me just make sure that's absolutely accurate, because he did not have a super productive 2024, and I think that's because, right ankle injury, but like a surgical right ankle injury, not an ACL situation, but like a real, no joke, 6 months of rehab ankle injury. And the production dipped, certainly. Again, like, I'm willing to talk about QB play. I'm willing to have, just not everything thrown at the feet of the player, but the injury history is something you have to pay attention to, something you have to care about. Fluidity and change of direction seem pretty sweet, but I'm not convinced on burst, acceleration, and top end speed, long speed, even for a tight end. You love that burst, of course, when you watch like a Tucker Kraft play. Tuck was an alien, so was Musgrave. I mean, they do like aliens at tight end, so we'll see how early they'd be willing to draft Luke Lachey. Technically sound blocker, but not opposing. Again, this is kind of comes maybe to the burst. he's really good. He does his job, but he's not putting people in the dirt. He's not, uh, putting faces into the pellets, as you will, on the artificial turf. He is just technically sound. And look, not that many tight ends are embarrassing people, right? I think like Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame, he went kind of viral in the scouting community because of how many kind of those Madden would call them impact blocks. Those impact blocks, right? Um, that's not Luke Lachey, but he's really really good. Not much of a yak guy. Certainly not anything of a yak guy in 2024. Production, you just have to address it, right? Like we've talked about blaming it on the tight end. We've talked about a number of things, but he had 130 yards on 10 catches in 2023. You had 231 yards as a bigger part of the offense in 2024, but his yards per catch were like 8. They were way down, double digits every other year of his career. You can blame it on the ankle injury. You can blame it on the quarterback play. You can blame it on whatever you want. But nothing that Luke Lachey put on tape in 2024 would be like, oh, this is an explosive potential weapon. Go back in 2023, you project another year better from that ankle injury. I think you could have a mini steal if you get him kind of late. Packers fit. I think he obviously kind of removes himself from the timeline of Kraft. Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, and Luke Musgrave were drafted in the same class. They're, of course, then on the same contract schedule. They are both not first-round picks, so there is no fifth-year option. So you're going to be looking at extending or not extending both of these players. And I know you're probably like, well, Musgrave doesn't even play. Well, we'll see. Musgrave was probably the better player as a rookie. Tucker Kraft was one of the better tight ends in football as in year 2. Let's see what happens in year 3. But I don't know that they'll like Gronk Hernandez, those two, right? Like I don't know that the long-term goal is to going to have to be both on the team. So I would maybe go and draft another tight end. If not this year, next year, and not have it just be like Tucker and Luke and then, UDFA de jure, because that's kind of what they've done. And it's fine. Like, I don't think tight end 3 is the difference between beating the Eagles and not, but I think it might be time to add a, draft level talent to the roster with Kraft and Musgrave both entering year 3. I think he could immediately replace Ben Sims and be the primary blocking tight end. I'm not even that, obsessed about. I thought Ben Sims was fine again as the blocking tight end. But again, he can be replaced. And I don't think this is going to require a premium pick. I just don't. Packers fans, this is the Packer Report. And the countdown to the 2025 NFL Draft is on. No better place to celebrate this April than Badger State Brewing. Just a short Lambeau leap away from the draft action. Overall, round 5 grade on Luke Lachey. I think if he would have come out after last year, and he was eligible because one con that I missed, he's an older prospect. He'll be 24 before the season starts. I think if he would have come out last year, I probably would have given him around 3. I think there's potentially a starter in there if things go really, really well. Otherwise, I think he really would be a solid number 2 tight end who can block. And I'm willing to do a round 5 on that. I am. I think he could probably help you out on special teams, depending on the testing. You don't want a really slow 240, 245 pound guy on specials, but there are units, I think, certainly that he could help. 175th overall player right now, but I think he could be a potential target if they get down to round 5, 6, 7 and aren't so worried about positional need. Of course, they don't have a real positional need at tight end when you've got Kraft and Musgrave. Guys, drink Badger State, buy the draft guide, and watch the Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your week. Go Pack Go.